and welcome everyone to the Foodcast with Rohit. Today I'm at the DoubleTree Suites by Hilton with Mr. Kiron Bose, who's the Director of Engineering Operations here at the Hilton. So far we have spoken to chefs, restaurant owners. This is the first time we're going to get a behind-the-scenes look at what goes on at a hotel. Thanks for being on the podcast.
You're welcome. I would like to welcome everybody to this beautiful hotel, DT Suites Bangalore, where I'm on one of these inspection trips I'm doing now.
Director of Engineering Operations, can you unpack that? What does it mean?
When you go and stay in a hotel, everything from the electricity, the air conditioning, water to the comfort conditions, it all goes behind the engineering operations as such. For example, we used to have a very good say that 3 Bs, bed, breakfast and bath. So if the bed is comfortable, it's a warm or a cold or a cool room, then the bath you need to have a very good shower and then the breakfast of course. But now this is changing anyway. One of this is biggest thing for a hotel guest when he checks in, he needs a good Wi-Fi. So that's where we are now. So what engineering does is we want to ensure the guest room temperatures are maintained. The hot water in the bathroom works. We want to ensure that the guest room is safe and sound and the guest to have a comfortable stay. That's what we're looking at. So the lot of logistics go behind this is what we're going to unpack now.
In unpacking this, you said you're here on a visit to make sure that the quality is up to the mark. Walk me through, what does a typical day look like for Mr. Kiron Bose?
Okay, when I come and visit the hotel, the first thing I do is I have a round of the property from the rooftop to the basement of the hotel. I look at fire and life safety, I look at engineering equipments, I look after the food safety parameters are being met, the fridges are kept in proper conditions. I look after the smoke detection is working properly. I look after the guest safety in terms of, if you are in a guest room, for example, you have to ensure that you don't get electrocuted, by using a hairdryer. So we ensure that these safety conditions are put and met, and that takes about 2.5 days. I sit with the security managers, I sit with the engineers, I sit with the chefs, the entire team, and I see that all the parameters are being maintained to what Hilton expects me to do.
And when it comes to food safety, what are some interesting stories or things that have come up? Like what do hotels do to ensure that the food is safe?
That's a really good question. When the food comes in, we have to ensure that the food is coming at a proper temperature. So we need to check when the food is coming, that the proper temperature is maintained. For example, when you take frozen mutton, we have to ensure the mutton is frozen till the center core. We have to ensure that the thermometer which you're using is a probe thermometer. We check the temperatures are maintained there. If it hasn't reached the temperature, we reject it outrightly. Then it comes from there, it goes to the cold rooms and the diffusers. The food is stored in diffusers at minus 18 degrees centigrade. In case you want to do the cooking the next day, we shift it to a cold room which is at 5 degrees. This is the process. The third is that we thaw the food through a cold thawing process. We don't put it in the microwave. We ensure that the food is thawed with the cold water and this is thawed. Then it goes to the cooking process. It is cooked at certain temperatures which is maintained. Then it is served to the guest. We maintain a certain temperature in the buffet. And these temperatures are checked by the service staff regularly. In a meal trade, we check the temperatures 3 times a day and we ensure the temperatures are kept and maintained perfectly during this whole process, which we call hazard analysis critical control point. If any of the control points are missing, then we are in big trouble. So we as the stakeholder must ensure that the food is obtained and this whole cycle is followed meticulously. If there is a breakdown in any of this, there is chances of the guest food being contaminated.
I didn't know that there's such a long process before the food gets to your plate.
People might be wondering, why do we charge? For example, you take a cup of tea outside, you get it for 10, 15 rupees.
Yeah.
Why would I charge you 80 or 100 rupees? There is a reason for it. First, when we are cleaning the plates and the cup and saucers, they have to go through a dishwashing process where we need to see that the temperature of the dishwasher is maintained. So this all process have to maintain and there the quality is there. We cannot allow the dishwash machine to work at a temperature which is below, and it's going to contaminate the whole process and it's going to be life-threatening to the people around. So there is a reason that why should I charge you so much money, because there's a lot of process you have to follow to ensure that this process is followed before this is on your plate.
Yeah, I'd gone to one restaurant where the vada pav. Now, vada pav you get on the streets of Mumbai for 25, 40 rupees, where they're charging 950 rupees for vada pav. And now it makes sense why there's so much compliance.
Yeah, so much compliance. Food safety is a part of the guest safety process. We got a person dedicated to do this, and we got people aligned to follow this. It's just like food protection. We have got a ISO certification. We have got our own standards. We maintain all of them, and we ensure that they are being regularly maintained. It's a question of your health at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we take total responsibility for what we do. So that is the reason why we end up paying a hefty bill.
So the Hilton is a large chain. You've got properties from 5-star to 4-star to 3-star. Obviously, the customer experience is different across these segments. How is your work different in these different segments?
Well, we call it full focused and full serviced. So you got a top luxury, which is World of Astoria. We have signed up in Jaipur, one of the projects. Then we got the contract. We got two contracts, one in Bangalore and one in Pune. And then we got the Hilton, and then we got the DoubleTree. The food safety standards are same everywhere. The fire and life safety standards are same everywhere. In different segments, the level of satisfaction for the guest varies depending on the core competency of the staff doing it. You get a cup of tea outside and you get a cup of tea inside the hotel. But the difference is the way it's served to you, the way you're treated, the way you're seated. So it's a lot of training which goes to all the hotels in different chains and how we sort of present luxury. It's an experience. Luxury is the experience actually. The moment the guest comes out from the airport to the hotel, there are touch points which we try to sort of reflect, and we see that, for example, a very simple thing like when you are sitting in a car which Conrad is providing, the driver sits and asks you, "Sir, is the temperature okay?" He's going to ask you, "Sir, we like the music." He's going to give you a cold towel or a hot towel. He's going to offer you a bottle of water. The moment you enter a lobby of a contract, you got a smell, you got a flavor of the lobby. We spend quite a lot of money to get that aroma in there. So they're the touch points which the guest will see during the course of his journey. So this is where the experience is. Luxury is an experience.
True. I mean, what you describe is very different from a typical Uber ride where sometimes you have to fight with the guy to switch on the air conditioning.
Totally agree.
And that's exactly what it is, right? Luxury is doing things a little bit better, having that conversation with the driver being knowing to even ask.
So it's a part of the training actually. For example, we have got hotels where we've got guest preferences. So we try to get the guest preferences. For example, you're sleeping on the right side of the bed or the left side of the bed.
Oh, wow.
And then we observe that, and then we know exactly where your bathroom slippers or bedroom slippers are going to be placed. For example, I'm staying in this hotel here at the moment. I bought a body lotion of Nivea. It had almost very less body lotion. I see a note signed by the housekeeper. "Sir, your body lotion is finished. I purchased from the local store. Here is it."
Oh, wow.
This is wow factor. This is, you would have that in one of those 1-star or 2-star hotels, So these are the factors which really count, how far we go in a guest journey actually. The guests are sort of pampered, feel wowed. For you as a normal person, you don't feel it. But for us, we have to ensure that training is done meticulously. If you go and walk in a hotel, the aroma, the music. So these are all curated specifically for different chains and different hotels. Suppose you are having a breakfast. You cannot have a flashy disco music. We like to play cool jazz up in the morning, in the evening it's changed. You'll see the hotels, the music levels are changed. They are not automatic. For example, when it's Christmas, it changes up. When it's autumn, it changes up. So these are the things. I'm just giving an example of music. When you go and have a breakfast with the contract, for example, we got a sitar player, who sings melodious music, calms you up, puts a positive energy in you to, really get out in the morning and, go for it.
What I liked is that when it comes to safety and food safety and fire safety, it's the same across classes because that is not compromised. What differentiates the different levels is the experience that is given, the kind of more attention to detail, the training of the staff. You mentioned one thing, there's a sitar player. That's something that you would see in India. Is that something that changes across the country? So say you're in Singapore, you're in Vietnam.
In Bali, for example, there's a lady who is got from the local village. She sells you the jamu or the elixir drink, They make one and give it to you. And there is a guy playing the local instruments there. So they do it in a different way. For example, a hotel in Goa will have a typical band in the morning for breakfast, for example, just to get the vibe in. Singapore is very business-like, very strict, business regulated. I worked a little bit in China also, but China is a big country like India, more bigger than India. So it's a different experience of different people and different ways luxury is perceived.
So the aim is to offer the customer a unique experience for the country, but at the same standard and level of...
You said it correctly.
Yeah.
We have got hotels with the business hotels, leisure style. So it all depends on what your market segmentation is. Bangalore is more or less sort of business orientation is there. You got people coming in and just hopping in for business and getting out. So the paradigm shift is there in each and every place. So it's for the hotel to pick it up and then exploit it in a very positive way and ensure that the guests return back to their place with a memory.
When it comes to approaching a business hotel and a leisure hotel, how does your approach to setting that up change?
I can give you very two classic examples. For example, if you are at the Hilton Goa Resort, people go to Goa, they stay there, they want to laze around the pool, They take it life very calmly. They will leave the kids somewhere to play around. So we need to take care of the kids, because if the kids are taken care of, the parents are very happy. So that's very important. So we got a kids club exclusively. We got babysitters or nannies who are trained to handle the kids. Kids are one of the biggest challenges we have in the hotel industry. I used to work for a hotel which we had 140 kids at a time.
Oh,
Amazing.
wow.
8 nannies who were in the kids club. So we had to do turtle watching for them. We had to do, drawings for them. We had to do so many activities because they are full of energy. And we had to keep them, those energies, sort of harnessed. I would say to manage 140 kids is managing 1400 adult people. The kids are going around, they're throwing stones, they're getting to the pool, they're doing all those things. So it's a big challenge. And mind you, these 8 girls, poor girls, but they did a great job, I must say that. So again, as you say, leisure is where people come and relax. The stay of the guest is more than 2 nights actually. They will come for 2 or 3 nights, they will laze around, have the cocktails, have the mocktails, be by the poolside. One of the hotels, we got a bath menu. You got a bathtub there.
A bath menu?
Yeah, you got a bathtub there. It gives you number of salts are there on the bathtub. You go to select which salt is good for the bath. You got a pillow menu in hotels. Which water pillow you like. You have a feather one. You want an allergenic pillow. You want a tough pillow. So these are the things which the hotels go all the way out to pamper the guests. Whereas when we go to business hotel, attend the meeting at 9. Be back in the room by 7. When I come to the room, the air conditioning should work. I should have hot water shower, warm, good, cozy bed. That's it. Engineering operations are very much intertwined with the guest needs. And there we are.
One of the big things that happen at hotels are these lavish events. You've got weddings, you've got these corporate conferences. I mean, we met at a corporate conference that was happening at a hotel. What are the challenges associated with getting those things going? I mean, it's a one-off thing, big thing. How do you guys handle that?
The first thing is the client comes to us with a list of things what he has to do. So we have got a meeting with all the stakeholders from the hotel side to look at his very, very detailed process which you're going to follow. For example, we do orientation of the safety, for example, just like the aircraft. You enter the aircraft, you say this is the exit doors in the front, behind. So we do that orientation with each and every guest, especially corporate clients. We make it a point that we tell them these are the fire exits, these are the safety measures you have to do. One of the biggest thing is that we have to keep the exits clear. That's one of the biggest thing. We just don't want to put a table there and see that the crowding is there and we cannot exit the guests. Second thing, especially when you're hosting big events, for example, I'll give a very small example. We got so much of lights, we got so much of decorations. Before you start the event, we just have a thorough check on the cabling up there. If the cable's getting heated up or not. We got a device, the same like the infrared scanning you do for the COVID temperature. We run it through and we see the cables not getting hot. When we got a big lawn, the palm trees, the lawns are lit by lamps. We have to ensure that the cable is proper because the kids will go and pull the cable. They might get electrocuted, For us, it's a very major task, to see that all the cabling is done perfectly. Lamps are inaccessible to the kids. They might destroy it. So we ensure that the cables are lit properly. Nobody's going to have an accident. That's very important. Sometimes the guest comes and we are going to put a smoke machine. But, so when you're putting a smoke machine, we have to disable the detectors, but we have to ensure that we got fire marshals with extinguishers standing there. No accident happens there, so we have to ensure that happens. So these are very, very critical things. I have seen VVIP banquet functions being held. Last minute you say, well, we don't want to set up like that. Every department comes, start changing the tables, shutting it out. The guest is waiting, but still, we try to cool him off with a pre-conference cooling, So these are the things we do. The food and the other things are a different story. If we are catering to more than 20 people, we have to keep the sample of each and every food for 1 week. So we take the sample, put it in the seal bag with the number and the date which is having, put it in the deep freezer for next 7 days. Because you might come and tell, I had a food poisoning allegation. So we need to ensure that anything with more than 20 people, we have to get the samples.
It's like you're keeping the forensic evidence.
Yeah, we have to. So if there is a claim, we just go and get it tested that there's nothing problem with this particular food. Biggest challenge. You're having a banquet of 5,000 people. How are you going to get servers there? And then you need to also get the servers to be properly uniformed. They should know how to serve. So these are the small steps you take for these big banquet functions, and we do it successfully.
So a couple of quick fire questions. You'd mentioned earlier that you had, I think, 140 children. What would you rather handle, 140 children or 140 drunk adults?
Well, quite a good question actually. The sidetrack on this, generally Hilton Hotels have got alcohol awareness training. Before we serve to the guests, the waiters ensure that this guy doesn't get drunk. I have worked in one of the hotels, and we never took wedding in that hotel because the guests were vomiting and on the ballroom floor, on the carpet, and it took us 3 days to get the smell out.
Wow.
It happened. So I would prefer to have 140 kids, At least you can manage them.
And what about 5,000 corporate guests or 5,000 wedding guests?
Or sugar. That's a difficult question, but 5,000 corporate guests will be much welcome, because in India we have got this fufa culture. You can never please the fufa of the bride or the bridegroom. He's the guy who's going to complain. So a corporate guy can do it. We can handle those, but weddings, it's a money spinner. But again, for example, logistics of putting the return gift for the wedding. So we have to mark it and ensure the hamper baskets are given to the proper guests. Corporate guests are generally hand over the gift when the function is there. It is not delivered to the room. So preferably corporate.
So at this point, let's rewind the clock a little bit. You have been in hospitality since before I was born. You started off in the Middle East. You worked across Asia. How did you get started? What inspired you?
I started after doing my education. I went to a hotel to work for. I was working in the engineering department, and then I got an opportunity to go to Middle East. I landed in Yemen in 1980, and I worked for the Sheraton Hotel there, and that was an excellent experience. A hotel built with $50 million. Hotel was handed over, and we started from there. So I stayed there for years, and then I ventured to go to Dubai. Worked for Dubai a couple of years. Then I did a hotel opening in Oman. Stayed there for a couple of years, and then I ventured to go to Philippines. In the Philippines, I was there for the Mandarin Oriental there. I worked there for 2 years, and then to Jakarta, and then it went on to China, to Bali, to Vietnam, and to Port Moresby. So the best part about the hospitality industry is that everybody seems to know each other. There is so much of interconnection. Your reference check is done on a telephone call within minutes, because we move so much. Everywhere you go and see, Indians are there. For me, for example, I deal with 21 departments in a hotel. Food, accounting, everybody's a stakeholder. You got an internal guest and an external guest. The internal guests are our stakeholders in the hotel, and the external guests are our guests. So that's how the journey is. That's how I started, and it's been an amazing journey so far.
What's been the most exciting place that you've worked at? Which country?
Well, there are a lot of exciting countries I worked for. Bali was a great education for me. Mystical land. What I liked in Bali is the warmth of the people, the culture of the people. In Bali, we have got something known as Tri Hitakarna, where they say that you have to align yourself with the community, with the religion, and with the environment. Tri Hitakarna it's put in practice in Bali today. I worked in Vietnam for close to about 8 years. Very smart kids, I must say. They have gone through so much in their lifetime. And I was in an island. I took about 20 kilometers to get milk. There was no bread available there.
20 kilometers just to get milk. That would have been an operational challenge to keep.
Yeah, that was actually, it is in south of Vietnam. Phu Quoc is a very beautiful island. I used to go on a Saturday in a hotel car and get milk for the whole week. So these are the challenges which you take. For example, I was working in Port Moresby, one of the most dangerous places in the world. We couldn't venture out of the hotel, because if you did, at certain times you could be shot or you could be killed. What would you do when you land up in a country where you don't speak the language? China, for example, I wanted to go and have a meal at McDonald's. So my secretary writes for me in Chinese McDonald's. I show it to the taxi driver. He takes me to the McDonald's. I just show my face at McDonald's and tell them what I got to eat, and they give me that. But the worst part is that I forgot the slip which my secretary had given back, so I couldn't go back, so I had to walk back to the hotel. So it's a different experience.
Outside of the places that you've worked, what's a hotel that really caught your attention?
I must admit that I am a prolific complainer, but again, there are certain hotels when you go and see the way the staff deals with the guest, it's amazing and it touches your heart. One of the hotels I went there, and I was working in the lobby with my wife. It's one of the oldest hotels in India. Suddenly, I see a guest relation lady coming, and she bent down and she altered the pleats of my wife's sari, telling that, "Oh, madam, please be careful, you're going to fall." Who would do that? You need a lot of training to do that. You need to have a sharp eye to do that. And I was amazed. And I'm telling it because it really touched me.
Creating those moments of delight. You're kind of empowering the staff to make those decisions for delighting the customer.
I think staff empowerment is something which need to take an independent sort of attitude of being owner of our own hotel we work for. There is a chain which I don't want to name here, but the general manager would come and ask us, how many guests have you sort of satisfied today, So all of the hotels do it, but at the end of the day, it boils down to the staff individual, how much he is empowered, how much he is motivated to do that. So this all starts with me, ends with me. That's all I can say,
Sustainability, environment, air pollution are all big topics that are being discussed nowadays. What is being done to reduce the environmental footprint of these hotels?
One thing I believe is that what you cannot measure, you cannot monitor. We have to ensure that we measure the water, the electricity, the diesel, the gas which you're using. So what we do in Hilton is that we got a platform on Lightstay. So all the data is input there. Through AI generation, it automatically generates a target for you. For example, in Bangalore, I'm in this hotel at the moment. The AI will tell me how much electricity I got to use during this time of the year. It takes the weather pattern, it takes the guest occupancy, and it says me that you can have X amount of electricity per kilowatt hours for this one. Same thing goes for the water. So what I personally believe is that you need to measure it first and then, take it from there. Then you set small targets. Sustainability is not a big talk. Sustainability begins with me. I go to hotels, it's got very dirty plant rooms, for example. A very simple thing. If you clean your filters for the guest rooms and the air handling unit, you save 2% electricity. So you don't have to really make it big. Take the small steps one by one, but it has to come from your heart and your head.
So what are some of the initiatives you've taken to reduce the carbon footprint of the hotel experience?
The first thing which we are trying to do is EV charging stations. All the hotels, we've got EV charging. You can see it down there. They've got an EV charging station up there. We have partnered with a couple of companies which do that. So that's something very, very important for us. Then we have started with the water bottling plants. That's a major capital investment. And the aim is to get the plastic out. We have done quite a lot. This hotel has got a plant. That is the reason, as you can sit here, we've seen here. So this hotel has got a bottling plant. Yeah.
So this is bottled in the hotel itself. There's no third party or anything.
There's no third party. We do it ourselves. Yeah. This year we're going to finish 4 more hotels coming online. We got 2 hotels in Gurgaon, the 2 hotels in Jaipur. The Conrad Bangalore has got a plant. The DT Whitefield is working on a plant they should be getting in a couple of days. It's a big initiative, taken time, but we are moving up there. So this is one we're looking at. The second thing which we are looking at is a disposal of the oil. So I'm working with an aggregator where we are disposing the deep fat fryer oils. So they are going to make road and are going to use it for...
So the deep frying oils will be used to make roads?
Yeah, that's been still done in China.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in Middle East when I was working there, we used to give that to a vendor. We used to do that. They use for the pig food. So we're doing that. So,
Bangalore needs roads.
Yeah. So I'm just telling you. So, different people do a different way. Soap, like we are going to the dispenser once, we don't have the soap bars in the hotel. You see the laundry bags up there. These are all, of course, recyclable material. So a lot of hotels are doing it. The laundry is being done in such a way that we don't use the boilers for steam, we're using electrical energy. So packaging, for example, small things, but it really means a lot.
So many different places where a change can be brought, an impact can be had without compromising the customer experience. That is, I think, the key challenge, right?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Certain parameters you maintain. One of the biggest challenges which have in the hotels, which is they will switch off the fresh air fans to the guest rooms. They switch it off in the night. It must not be done. They switch off the toilet exhaust. It must not be done. But they do it because they don't know how it affects the chemical constituents of your body. So these are things which people do, must not be done. When I go to certain places, I see that happening and I can feel the difference. So small things, but we are there.
It's all about preserving things for the next generation. And
for hotels, for example, I tell the guys that you tell me a target for a day. What is the electrical target? And give it in terms of rupee value. Create the excitement in the people's mind that why it's going 1 rupee more and why it's not coming 1 rupee less. So that excitement has to be created in the people to understand what is in it for me. Well, the hotel pays for your salary. If I get the electricity cost down, obviously you're going to have a bonus out of this. So it's all relative in terms of money you make, in terms of profit, because we as a management company, we need to ensure that our assets are managed and we are there to manage it for our owners, So that's very, very important for us. That's my role where I come in. We manage assets and we ensure that we have operational efficiency. That is what is sustainability, in fact, So education, sustainability, goes hand in hand together.
So when it comes to hotels, there are hotels that you build from scratch and sometimes you take over existing properties. How does the sustainability approach vary in these two situations?
That's a good question. What we cannot measure, we cannot monitor. The first thing is that we measure the total quantity of energy which is being used in an existing building, and we take it from there. We have an energy audit, and we try to see that we are much in the benchmark. So we try to get the benchmark levels done. We know that this particular hotel is going to consume 300 kilowatts per square meter. That's our benchmark. So we say this hotel is 350. We need to get it down. We do energy audit, and we try to put it down to that exact benchmark with different features which we allow. For example, LED lighting in the rooms, putting variable speed drives in the motors. We ensure that the chiller is operating properly and it's delivering the amount of energy which is used. So these are the small steps we take. For the new buildings which come, we follow the green building code. We ensure that the material use is locally available and sustainable. We ensure that the insulation factor is taken care of. So all this is very, very technical, which is not very motivating for the guys to hear. But at the end of the day, we work on kilowatt per square meters, amount of water used by guests in the hotels, and we sort of benchmark it, and we ensure that we are below the benchmark. So that's the goal actually. So we measure it and do it accordingly.
So you've been in the industry for over 30 years now. What has changed since you started until now?
The profile of the guests have changed. Five-star hotels used to have people above the age of 40 to 45. Now we seeing young millennials, Gen Z or whatever it is you call them. They are there and they have got money to spend. They don't seem to bother more about saving. So their outlook to life is totally shifted. The paradigm shift has happened in terms of the age and then expectation. I'll give you a small example and that says it all. I was working for a hotel in Indonesia in Jakarta. It's a Shangri-La hotel. We had a breakdown of the internet from 2 o'clock in the morning till 2:25, 25 minutes. Guess how many complaints we had?
200.
We had 350 complaints.
Wow.
So you see, at night in the early hours of the morning, in 25 minutes, you got 350 guests surfing the internet. Can you imagine? So that's why I told there has been a tremendous shift of paradigm. The 3 Bs are not there anymore. Bed, breakfast, bath are not there. For me, today is the Wi-Fi. I come to a hotel, where is the Wi-Fi password? Okay, all right. So I'm going to stay here. I've got 6 gadgets to do, or can I charge my iPhone? Can I charge my iPad? This was not there before. This has changed tremendously. You go to a hotel, you go and have your lunch or dinner, the dish comes to you. You just post the photo on Instagram. You waste 8 minutes to do that. That was not there before. You go to a hotel now, what has changed? You go to a restaurant, nobody's talking to each other, everybody's on the mobile phone. So there is a lot of disconnection. There was a big joke about Nokia, connecting people, disconnecting lives, We have been more connected to a mobile and we have totally disconnected from life, So it's changed. This is the change that's happened, With the expansion of the tourism and the travel, the expectations have changed. I want to be seen in Santorini or I want to go to the Leaning Tower of Pisa, Things have changed.
Social media.
So there's a tremendous change in the way the guest is perceiving luxury and comfort. People are more aware when they go to a 5-star hotel what they want to have in the breakfast. They know, it's a vegan, diet conscious foods are there. So the expectations change. Before it's not there now. That's what has changed since I've started in this industry.
So this being a foodcast, I wanted to ask, so we've spoken to so far people who have run restaurants. But when you're in a hotel chain, you're effectively running maybe 4 or 5 restaurants inside one single property. How does that work?
So they're very, very specialized. Like you're a cardiologist, you're orthopedic. So the same way the chefs are trained to handle different food. A sushi chef is totally different. The way he cuts sushis have to be cut. The sashimi has to be cut in certain time. It has to be consistent in terms of thickness of the sashimi, which you can pick up with your chopstick. If your sashimi is thick, you cannot hold it with a chopstick. It's a question of training up there. Specific trainings are being put with the chefs so that they deal with specific sort of clients and then they, rise and shine.
And you have my favorite meal of the day, breakfast, the breakfast buffet. I mean, the spread, especially in a 5-star hotel, is huge. I think when I go on a hotel stay, that's what I look forward to.
Physically and practically, how much food can you eat in a day? 120 grams, 200 or 300 grams, not more than that. It's also a trick of the hotels to give an array of food stuff. How much can you eat as a person? You can eat with eyes, but physically you cannot eat those things. So this is just to sort of allure you to, come to that and say, oh, it's got a beautiful breakfast buffet. But how much you're going to eat is very important. And what you're going to eat. Because now people are conscious. They'll have sprouts, food and, proteins. That's how the chef's job has become more of a sort of dietetic consultant at the moment. What do I give to this people? You got vegan, you got vegetarian, you got all those people around. And then you accordingly allocate the buffets. For example, you got sprouts, soups, for example. You got hot food, you got cold food, you got local varieties, the dosas and the paratha stuff of it. So these all come and go. So the hotels have got more involved in presenting the breakfast. In one of our hotels, we have got two ladies who are locally employed to make parathas. It's amazing. And this hotel has got a lot of European clients up there. It's huge because, you go and see that about 6 or 7 guys are waiting there for the paratha to be made. And these ladies are locals. They're making the paratha for you there and giving it to you. So just adds a little bit to the charm of having a home cooked meal inside a hotel. So this is how the hotel promotes, So there we make our money.
That's, I guess, one thing. People can take a video, post it on Instagram saying, here are people making the parathas fresh.
And you got 150 likes.
150 True. I mean, you want to show the whole experience to people and you have to create those experiences. And that's, I think, something that has changed again in the last few years is people want to show the food that they're eating.
When I was in Bali, there is a very famous restaurant in Bali called Bebek Bengal. They call it Dirty Duck. So when you go to eat in Bebek Bengal, especially the Chinese crowd, when they go there, after the food had landed in the table, it took 8 minutes for them to start eating it. The food would come. These girls will do a post on Instagram. By the time they eat the food, it was almost 8 minutes past when the food was served. So, c'est la vie, that's life,
Mm-hmm. You have to make the food hotter than it's supposed to be so that it lasts the 8 minutes.
So that's changed quite a lot. And, they don't eat first. The Instagram eats first before you eat it. So that's what is happening now. That's social media,
What are some crazy incidents that have happened or fun stories that have happened in your time in the hotel industry?
We had a lady calling our operators, they say, can I have an adapter? Typical adapter, okay. So the lady picks up and calls for the doctor and sends the doctor to the room, So what is the doctor doing? No, I need an adapter, not a doctor.
Lost in translation.
Lost in translation was,
Like what's an incident maybe that you were in where you felt a little out of place?
When I was in Middle East, we had the GCC conference that comes in all of the states of the Middle East. And I was in Oman. The King of Saudi Arabia was going to be in that hotel. And his WC, water closet, was being bought in a separate aircraft. It had to be installed in his room. It was a gold-plated cover. So we had to install a gold-plated WC in his room. So, it's a lot of stress to do that before the king comes and he sits in the WC, So when I was in Bali, we got the president of Vietnam coming to the hotel. He wanted his temperature in the room at 19 degrees. It's very difficult because it fluctuates. And he kept on insisting. The protocol was like, we want 19 degrees. And that's it, So how do you tackle this and how you see that, you're working? I was doing an opening for a hotel in Port Moresby. We were in the conference room. The Chinese PM was telling us that the air condition is too cold, and the Canadian was telling the air condition is too hot. How do you do these things? The Chinese premier was wearing a half shirt, and the Canadian gentleman was wearing a full jacket. So quite difficult to balance it. Then you need to see how I'm going to do that, and a lot of protocol. I was seeing a room where the Russian president was coming. We went and checked the room and everything was okay. And then the moment we come out of the room, every linen was stripped off and given back to us. Why? Because the Secret Service told that people can put anthrax powder in the linen and make that. We were doing a conference where the Russians were coming. I was very curious. We went to the meeting room where they had set up a huge conference hall, and I looked at the telephone set. I was amazed because they had this dial in. We could dial those phones. I asked the guy, why he's using it. He told, my friend, nobody can hack this phone. This is cable phone. We want to use this. Nobody can hear into our conversation. So a lot of these incidents come in. Prime ministers, presidents, when these people come to our hotel, the amount of stress which we go through is impossible. I was in Indonesia and we were hosting the president of Pakistan. I was supposed to go and see his suite, so I went and saw his suite. In a disguise, I was a Malaysian guy there. And when the president was taking a lift from the ground floor to the 12th floor, the lift came down all the way to the basement because somebody had broken a manual call point glass. And security everywhere, with guns and all. So these are very stressful moments. But we have been through it. So I worked in Yemen. The president came. In the elevator, there were 20 people with him, security staff with him. And obviously, when 20 people, the elevator went up and it stood there because of the load factor. So the security staff left. So at the end of the day, I can see that the police has come and they have taken those 2 elevator service guys in custody and took them to the jail. So I see a lot of things like this happening in my lifetime. And when I go and look at this, like, wow, a journey which has seen so much of ups and downs, and it's an amazing journey of life. And I'm happy to be what I'm doing now.
You've been doing this for over 30 years now. If someone is new looking to get into the hospitality industry or engineering operations, what are some of your key advice for them? They might be watching this right now.
Well, my key advice is that learning never stops. You got to learn every day. The moment you stop learning, you can just say goodbye. So for me, I think it's hard work, perseverance, learning, and learning. For example, we have got aspirants of hotels who want to be general managers in 5 years. It's a difficult thing. Hotel industry has got so many complexities in terms of how the revenue is earned, how the revenue is spent, and what you give to the stakeholders. So these are the components which make up this industry. So it's a tough job. Imagine you are in a reception. You got to stand there for 8 hours, smile at the guest. It's a very difficult job to do. If I'm going to get anybody to stand there for 8 hours and do it, I think it's a challenge. It's a physical endurance, it's a mental endurance. But it's not a life full of roses. It's also thorns and roses. We pick up the roses, but we avoid the thorns. There is no easy way to life. That's what I can say to you.
Thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure having you, Mr. Kiran.
Thank you, Rohit. It was a pleasure. Yes. I hope your guests like what I said. And please do write back to Rohit on his Instagram account.
In the comments below, do write what are some of your key takeaways from our discussion with Mr. Kiran. And subscribe for more foodcasts like this. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.